Action films usually involve a protagonist and an antagonist. They have a backstory to why two or more characters have a conflict, and they show characters planning against others in secret. The first Transformers is a great example. In the movie, there are many fights involving robot versus robot and man versus robot. The film directors use many angles to amplify the fight and create an exaggeration of motion to make the audience feel completely immersed in the film. Action movies also contain lots of fast-moving images. Film frequently changes scenes every second to make the audience more on edge. The first ever action film on record was The Great Train Robbery, which involved lots of camera movement, epic lines like "Let's do this," which were very informal during the time, and they were used to excite the audience and increase the audience's energy level. Adventure films always have a story based off of the main goal, trying to get from point A to point B. In adventure movies, flyby scenes showing progression in a character's journey can show the difficult terrain ahead. In Kung Fu Panda 3, Po the panda has a current goal of getting to his home village to meet more pandas. He is on a long, daunting route through deep valleys and tall mountains. In the movie, they also make Po tired during his trek so the audience can have a better understanding of his harsh physical condition. Adventure films have a way of taking the audience to places away from the beginning of the movie. They figure out complex ways to create a story that could lead to anywhere. The movie is the adventure of a character, and watching films like Kung Fu Panda is an adventure for the audience. Many scenes in adventure films where a character would jump very far, they would use a thin line of a strong material to make a character seem as if they were flying through the air. Films that make you laugh and giggle would most likely fall under the genre of comedy. Comedy is a form of film that has a very gleeful appeal to its audience. Sounds, facial expressions, and even the lines being said in the film will make you laugh. During these films, scenes are normally shot with a happier filter and with longer scenes instead of a fast back and forth motion found in action movies. Get Smart is a great example, and one of my all-time favorites. In the movie, the main character, Maxwell Smart, is traveling to LA by jet plane, and there's a quick cut to the exact time when he was in the plane and threw up, which was hilarious to most viewers. The first comedy film was Sprinkler Sprinkled. It was created in 1895, and it was a silent fiction film. Movies that are based off of crime can be filmed from many different perspectives to make it more immersive. Ocean's 8, for example, there are many scenes that involve different characters trying to figure out a way to steal the necklace. The scenes cut to whoever is talking through the communicators so you can also see what the other person is doing. Crime movies will most likely be shot with a colder feeling, like with a bluish filter to the movie. This gives an effect of a cold-hearted film which fits the criminal category. Crime movies are similar to an adventure movie but much more violent and gruesome. They normally have a plan to do something illegal and they run through the plan by themselves or with a crime group. The first ever crime movie was Underworld, which was created in 1927 and was based off of the illegal drinking and speakeasies from the Prohibition. Drama movies have an emotionally draining experience with the audience. Dunkirk is a great example of a drama film, due to its being about the World War. In the movie, the film has lots of scenes of people close up to see their emotions and really amplify the sadness in the scene. The movie the directors In the movie, the directors use a lot of dark filters and gloomy lighting to make you feel the same as the soldiers. The first ever drama film was D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation, a 1915 film that started many different filming techniques used today, like close-ups and jump cuts. Horror is a movie genre that you either really like or really hate. In the movie It by Stephen King, the 1990 film, Pennywise the Clown is terrorizing dairy and eating children. In this movie, many elements are intertwined in the film that make it super scary. Close-ups, loud sounds, freaky faces, all of these things that are added to the plot create an immersive environment that scares the audience and makes them want more. Many scenes where it would go quiet and then all of a sudden Pennywise would pop out and completely surprise and scare the audience would be terrifying. The first horror film on record is Le Manoir du Diable, 1896, created by one of the film's earliest visionaries, Georges Méliès. This film was very well done for its time, involving petrifying and clearish audio screams, and they used things like thin hair strands to pretend that the fake bat was flying in the air. Musical movies are a more uplifting type of film genre than others. It involves lots of singing and happiness, and gives the film a more cheerful feeling. The first High School Musical is a great example, besides its name. In the movie, they build a story about high school kids. Some are in love and some are just trying to graduate. In the movie, there is lots of singing and dancing, even an enormous entire school flash mob at one point. The film directors use lots of smooth, moving camera action, instead of pivoting a camera on a fixed stand. They use lots of warm colors on the actors and the filters to give it a happier, more family-friendly feeling. The first ever film considered to fall in the category of a musical film, The Jazz Singer, Darryl F. Zanuck. This movie was very popular to it being a new genre and a very hip type of movie. Science movies can be based off of real-life events or have a mix with sci-fi effects. Back to the Future is a somewhat realistic science film with calculations and physics involved, but a DMC DeLorean traveling through time is a bit crazy. This film was creative and energetic, but even a film genre like this can contain some negative scenes. Like when the scientist was shot, the directors used emotions, close-ups, and slow, sad music to increase the sadness felt by the audience. This movie was very well done with the use of lights and futuristic sound effects when the car would drive at supersonic speeds. One of the most remembered scenes was when the car first drove off into the past, leaving a strip of fire where the tires were. The first ever science film was Le Voyage dans la Lune and it was about going to the moon and experiencing space for the first time. They used lots of boards and canvases to create a background that appeared to the audience as space by painting stars and planets. War movies are based off of real-life events and can be epic and sometimes funny, but they can also bring the audience to tears. In Hacksaw Ridge, a boy is drafted to the army and does not believe in killing anyone. He only wants to save lives. In this film, the boy saves 70 plus men at the top of a ridge by himself without assistance. This film was done very well and had an effect on the audience during a grenade scene that was very clever. During this scene, the boy is very close to an exploding grenade, and once it blows, they play ear-piercing noise that acts as if the audience and the actor have experienced hearing failure from the blast. The first ever filmed war movie was The Birth of a Nation in 1915. Since there were not many films back then, The Birth of a Nation is considered a drama and a war movie, having very accurate historic references and a storyline based off of real events. Epics are films that tend to recite past events in human history and create a film out of the stories told by people, books, or ancient writings. This genre revolves mostly around society and political aspects, like war and other worldwide conflicts. Epics tend to have a serious tone to the story due to the fact that most of the historic events used in these films contain lots of negativity and serious political topics. The directors use camera views that allow the audience to see everything in one picture. The Book Thief is a great example of an epic, with its historic time period and the use of creating an environment where the people and the items used are intertwined in the same generation. This movie shows the struggles of people with the Jewish religion and takes you through their daily life. The first ever epic film on record was D.W. Griffith's biblical spectacle, Judith of Bethulia. The setting during this entire film is based inside and was not filmed in the outdoors. Western films involve characters with lifestyles that are not as lavish as people in present days. These films were shot to be based in the 19th century and above, involving drought and deserts with small poor towns. Cowboys are also very apparent in these films, being the hero or the villain. Western films have many symbols to show dryness, harsher climate, and a more difficult lifestyle that people in these towns have. No water, lawless, and other very barbaric traits of these towns that involve crime and anything illegal. They use tumbleweeds, sand, and very dusty settings to make it more of a harsh environment to the audience. Rango, a more family-friendly film, is a great example of a Western theme. In that movie, this city animal meets a Western animal and sees how much tougher life was in the West. Many of the first Western movies were based off of cowboys invading native territories and having large fights with cowboys on horses and natives with hand weapons like spears and daggers. Planet Earth is one of the most well-known documentary series ever created. These films that involve nature are so intriguing to the audience. Beautiful scenery, animal close-ups, and time-lapse of plants growing and even icebergs melting. These films use beautiful color, lots of bird-eye views of different places around the world. A narrator is used to amplify more people onto the animals and scenery than a person talking about it. The film involves many sounds and music to increase momentum in a scene and to put the audience on edge. If a lion is stalking a gazelle, the sound is quiet. When it goes to attack, the directors use fast moving music like violin to over exaggerate the scene. The first ever narrative film was Nanook of the North, a 1922 film about Eskimos living in the Arctic. Even some of the film was staged due to the lack of technology advancements to withstand the harsh climate.